Greetings, my name is Daniel, and I am the 3D Digital Studio Manager at Confluence, and I'm responsible for creating 3D models and renders among many other things. Over 20 years of doing this kind of work, the one conversation that's perennial is, who's got a good rendering style? And there's so many different opinions, and it can be contentious internally within a lot of firms. Personally, these are renderings that you can see that we've produced, and I like doing night renders. Personally, I always look at Alex Hogreff, who's visualizingarchitecture.com. His work is pure artistry. He does tutorials on this, he sells his books, and really what you can see is just this style that just has the it about when you're looking at something and it creates a response and really a clear understanding of what you're looking at. But it is this ephemeral experience and this feeling, and it takes a lot of work to get to this type of quality and a level of natural talent. I like to do technical modeling. I am not ever going to fool myself to be that I can be someone like as good as Alex Hogreff. I love the inspiration and learning from his work and others like him that are really good at what they do. I like to make technical models. I love doing terrain modeling and having all the pieces of infrastructure and the world that built world come together. You can then produce some really nice renderings. The programs these days are abundant, which is part of the conversation. Which rendering program do you use? D5 or Lumion or Enscape or Twinmotion or Unreal Engine? It's endless in terms of what you can actually produce, including from Blender and even Rhino and Revit at this point. And that's just to name some of them. But when it comes down to it, we do like to produce renders. We use Lumion, we use D5, we use Twinmotion within our own practice. We know how to trick the camera. In this case, having all this reflection up front is what you see, makes the rest of it look somewhat real. Or really, my personal enjoyment is kind of like getting into the holiday spirit. I start doing these kind of more celebratory renders of this is someplace in Alaska. I collaborate with a lot of artists in terms of what is a good rendering. And we're going to get to how we get to some conclusion and closure of this. I want to highlight, this is Avi Zohari, who I've known for a long time. He's a professional rendering artist that works for DHM Design, creating these really moody renders. And he's doing that how? He's SketchUp and whatever Lumion, and then he brings them into Photoshop, which is what Alex Hogreff does. It's all this post-processing, the importance of post-processing a render, the importance of textures to make renders look real. Do you want non-photorealistic rendering? So you take your model and you hand render it instead. Either way, you have all these different options of creating different types of diagrammatic, non-photorealist, or realistic renderings. We use them all over the place. So how they're used is really the key point of all this, right? It's the client who wants to see something that really gets across the point. In this case, we had to do a non-photorealistic rendering that actually reflected metallic qualities of this building, and we were able to do that. Or someone again here like Avi Zohari again, creating these really beautiful crisp, I think this is out of D5 render that he was doing before. Or again, Avi Zohari showing a non-photorealistic rendering of this playground, which is pretty cool. Non-photorealism is something you can get out of programs like Lumion. And then the question is, how do these compare to photorealism? And again, it's an endless conversation. So you have to ask the question, what's acceptable? This is a rendering and it's using SketchUp or Trimble Visualizer. It's a very basic rendering engine. Is this an acceptable quality for a rendering output? You have to ask. So what did we do? We did a survey. We surveyed about 1,000 professionals, and I think we got, I'm not sure, 150 or more responses, if not more. And we asked them, rate these renderings. We didn't tell anybody what the rendering engines are. I'm not going to mention what the rendering engines are here as well either. Let people pick. Everybody can take their guesses. And we asked, what exactly would be the results for these, looking at these renderings? Please rate them versus quality. We also asked some other questions. What's more important? Efficiency and aspects like that. Off the bat, I could tell you one thing that's most important from what I've learned is it's what the clients think. Most clients do not care what a rendering looks like. They're just ecstatic that it's in 3D. It's not true for all clients, especially in the architectural world, where you do have to produce some very high detailed level of renderings. And then if you even take it up a notch, in the film world, I have friends that work for Sony and doing all those graphics for movies where the slightest blemish is unacceptable and it needs to look real. Well, given the budget, they have to produce that kind of work. So you have to go back. So what was the results of these? Well, dead even. Out of a scale of 5, 2.525. Basically, and just a little bit of background, none of these renders has any post-processing. They were raw renders out of the rendering program that we were using. None of these are SketchUp, by the way. They're all some kind of rendering engine. But it's interesting is that the results were even. Everybody liked each one of these equally. If you go to the next one, same result, same exact result. This is kind of a statistical, if you do more of these, you'd probably find some kind of correlation, but that's enough for me to really confirm how subjective it really is when you look at all these rendering programs and wonder what the end results are going to be like in terms of someone's appreciation of it. Principals at firms tend to actually really want you to produce the best quality render they can because of the competition that you're up against in terms of your other peers in other industries or other firms. Clients just want the best bang for their buck, and that could be anything, though there's always the request for a higher rendering quality. Me personally, hard to tell. I try to push this conversation. It's worth the discussions and collaborating with people in the type of graphics that we're talking about here. If you like this content, please subscribe and hit the like button, and of course share this if you can. And in the comments, please let us know what kind of content you're looking for. We're very open to it, and there's more content coming down the line. Thank you very much and have a continued good day.